You want to know the real difference between people who drift through life and people who dominate life? It's not the size of their dream, it's the size of their habits. Big dreams are common. Daily habits are rare. And here's the secret that separates them. Every small decision, every repeatable action sends out ripples far greater than you can see in the moment. Think about it. A drop of water doesn't look like much, but when it hits still water, it expands ring after ring, touching areas it never directly touched. Your habits work the same way. You don't feel the power of one push-up, one page of reading, one moment of silence in the morning, but each of those sends a signal into your future. That signal collides with tomorrow's choices, magnifies your discipline, and redefines your trajectory. What feels invisible now becomes undeniable later. The tragedy is that most people miss this. They think, one day won't matter. One action won't change me. And that's the lie that keeps them stuck. Because if one day won't matter, neither will tomorrow nor the next. That's how whole decades vanish. But the winners know the opposite truth. If one small choice doesn't matter, then every choice matters. The smallest consistency is the seed of unstoppable transformation. Let's make it practical. Imagine improving by just 1% a day. Doesn't sound like much, right? But in a year, that's over 37 times better than where you started. That's not a small shift, and that's exponential. That's the quantum ripple effect. The math is real, but the effect is even deeper, because you're not just improving skills or strength, you're shaping your identity. Every tiny habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. And here's the kicker. Ripples don't just influence you, they influence everything connected to you. You eat better, you move better, you think sharper. Your kids notice, your coworkers notice, your friends feel it. Your choices set frequencies that others tune into. That's why one person's discipline can change an entire household. One person's consistency can shift an entire company culture. The ripple spreads wider than you ever imagined. But this only works if you understand the power of small. Most people chase the dramatic, the overnight fix, the 90-day miracle. They get excited, they sprint, then they burn out. Winners, they respect the subtle. They play the long game. They drop water on stillness every single day until the ripples build into a tide. And when the tide comes in, it looks like a miracle to everyone else. But to the one who was faithful in the small, it was inevitable. So here's your call. Stop waiting for the big break. Stop worshiping the dramatic. Start dropping the small actions daily without fail. Start noticing the ripple, and watch how the invisible becomes visible. How the small becomes unstoppable. Because the ripple effect is real, and the only question left is, what ripple will you create today? Here's the truth. You don't need 10 new habits, a color-coded planner, or a total life overhaul. That's how most people fail. They try to rewrite their entire existence in 1 week, and by week 2 they're back where they started. The power lies not in doing everything at once, but in doing one thing consistently. Winners know this. They choose one micro-habit, one small repeatable action, and they master it until it becomes part of their DNA. Think about it. You can't climb a mountain in one leap, but if you can take one step and repeat it, the mountain has no choice but to fall beneath your feet. That's what a tiny habit is, a step. And the secret is to make it so small, so doable that your mind has no room for excuses. Want to get in shape? Don't start with a 2-hour gym routine. Start with 10 push-ups before your shower. Want to become a reader? Don't aim for a book a week. Start with 1 page before bed. Want clarity of mind? Don't try to meditate for an hour. Start with 30 seconds of stillness in the morning. Small isn't weakness. Small is leverage. The smaller you start, the more likely you are to stay consistent. And consistency, not intensity, is the real engine of transformation. Anybody can go hard for a week, but who can keep a tiny promise to themselves every single day? That's where identity is forged. So here's your assignment. Pick your one tiny habit. Make it so specific that it removes all negotiation. Not, I'll try to work out more, but I will do 10 push-ups after I brush my teeth. Not, I'll try to write, but I will write 1 sentence after lunch. See the difference? The second option is concrete, measurable, and undeniable. Your brain understands it. Your body can follow it. And the repetition builds trust in yourself. The most valuable currency you will ever own. Now let me warn you. Your ego will resist this. It will whisper, that's too small. That won't change anything. That voice wants you to swing for the fences and strike out, because failure feels safer than long-term transformation. Don't listen. The winners silence ego with action. They understand that big doors swing on small hinges. The tiny hinge is your daily habit, and once you pick it, commit. Don't keep searching for the perfect habit. The search for perfection is just procrastination dressed up as productivity. Choose one habit today, write it down, anchor it to a part of your day. Then begin. Remember, the ripple can't start until you drop the first stone. That one habit is the stone. Drop it daily and watch the circles expand. Years from now, you'll look back and realize the small choice you made today was the choice that changed everything. Momentum doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from structure, from design, from making the path of progress so natural that you don't even have to think about it. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by stacking your new habit onto something you already do every single day. This is the art of habit stacking, where friction disappears and action becomes automatic. Think about it. You already have anchors in your daily life, moments that happen without fail. You brush your teeth. You drink your morning coffee. You check your phone. You drive to work. These are routines etched into your nervous system, hardwired by repetition. Instead of fighting to create new time and space for change, you attach your tiny habit to one of these anchors. The anchor pulls the habit with it, like a current carrying a boat downstream. Let's make it practical. Say you want to start practicing gratitude. Don't just tell yourself you'll do it sometime. That's too vague, and vague commitments die quickly. Instead, connect it. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write down 3 things I'm grateful for. Coffee is already in your life. Gratitude becomes linked to it, and soon your brain ties the two together. No willpower needed, just flow. Or let's say you want to start moving more. Instead of vowing to do 50 push-ups in the middle of your busy day, stack it. After I brush my teeth at night, I will do 10 push-ups. Brushing your teeth is already non-negotiable, so the push-ups get pulled along with it. Over time, 10 becomes 20 and 20 becomes 30, but the foundation is effortless because it's stacked. The brilliance of stacking lies in momentum. Momentum is not built by massive action. It's built by eliminating resistance. When your habit is tied to something you already do, there's no extra decision to make. And the fewer decisions you must make, the greater your chance of consistency. Consistency is the bridge to momentum, and momentum is the bridge to transformation. What you're really doing here is reprogramming your identity. Every time you honor the stack, your brain begins to see the new habit as part of who you are. You don't try to do it anymore. You just do it because it's fused with what already defines your day. The more you stack, the stronger the momentum, until your habits are no longer separate actions. They are a rhythm, a flow, a lifestyle. And here's the secret. Momentum doesn't need to be dramatic. You don't need fireworks. You need frictionless progress. The habit stack is like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it looks small, almost laughable. But the more it rolls, the more unstoppable it becomes. That's what stacking gives you, the starting push that turns into exponential momentum. So stop relying on sheer discipline. Stop waiting for motivation. Stack your habits. Build your flow. And watch as your life shifts, not because of grand gestures, but because you mastered the art of simple, automatic momentum. Progress without measurement is like running a race with your eyes closed. You might be moving, but you'll never know if you're closer to the finish line. This is why tracking micro-wins isn't optional. It's essential. Measurement transforms vague intentions into tangible momentum. A visible streak becomes fuel. It's oxygen for consistency, proof that your effort is working, and a reminder that every step matters. Think about it. The human brain thrives on progress. Even the smallest sense of advancement lights up reward pathways. That little check mark on a calendar, that number creeping upward on your tracker, that growing chain of days where you didn't break your promise to yourself. It's addictive in the best possible way. Each recorded win whispers, keep going. You're becoming who you said you would be. Here's the problem. Most people abandon habits not because they fail, but because they think they're failing. They can't see their progress. They underestimate their consistency. They forget how far they've come because the steps feel small and uncelebrated. Tracking solves this problem. It pulls progress out of the invisible and makes it undeniable. Let's make it practical. If you're building a habit of reading, track the pages. Write down 5 pages today. It seems small, but stack 5 pages a day for a month. That's 150 pages. That's a book. And when you see that written in front of you, Motivation compounds. If you're building fitness, record your reps, your sets, or even just the number of days you moved your body. That streak tells you a story. I show up. I don't quit. I keep going. This is more than accountability, it's identity. Tracking micro wins doesn't just tell you what you did, it tells you who you are becoming. When you can look back and see 30 days of consistency staring at you, it's no longer about a habit, it's about identity. You don't just try to exercise, you are someone who moves daily. You don't try to write, you are a writer. Tracking transforms effort into evidence, and evidence rewires belief. And here's the beauty. It doesn't need to be complicated. A journal, a calendar, a simple app, whatever works for you. What matters is visibility. Your brain craves proof. Without it, motivation fades. With it, momentum multiplies. That growing streak becomes a contract with yourself, and breaking it feels unthinkable. Most people underestimate how powerful this is. They dismiss the little check mark, the streak counter, the tally on a notebook. But these tiny visible wins are the difference between a habit that sticks and one that dies. They're the difference between intention and transformation. Because when you see progress, you protect progress. So don't just start a habit, measure it. Celebrate it. Track every micro win like it matters, because it does. The streak is not just a number, it's a mirror. And every time you see it, you see proof that you are no longer who you were. You are becoming who you're meant to be. Discipline isn't just about willpower. It's about design. Most people fail at building habits not because they're weak, but because their environment is working against them. Friction destroys consistency. Access creates momentum. If you want to make your habits stick, you need to design your surroundings so that the habit is the path of least resistance and excuses die before they're born. Picture this. You want to eat healthier, but your kitchen is stocked with chips, cookies, and soda. Every time you open the cupboard, you're at war with yourself. That's not a lack of discipline, it's a setup for failure. Now imagine the same kitchen filled with fruit on the counter, prepped veggies in the fridge, and water ready to go. Suddenly, the healthier choice is easier than the unhealthy one. The environment did the heavy lifting before willpower ever had to step in. The same principle applies everywhere. Want to work out in the morning? Lay out your clothes the night before. Put your shoes by the bed. Put your water bottle where you can see it. Remove every barrier that gives your brain a chance to negotiate. Because the truth is, your brain loves the easy road. If the habit is easy to access, you'll follow through. If it's buried behind resistance, you'll quit before you start. This is why the most successful people don't just rely on motivation. They build systems. Systems are invisible hands that guide your behavior without effort. They create a world where the right choice feels natural and the wrong choice feels inconvenient. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow so you can't go to bed without picking it up. Want to stop scrolling mindlessly? Delete the apps from your home screen. Want to save money? Automate the transfer so you never even see the cash. Removing friction is about honesty. Be honest about the excuses you give yourself, then dismantle them in advance. If you know you'll say, "I don't have time," schedule it in your calendar. If you know you'll say, "I'll do it later," tie it to an existing habit. If you know you'll say, "I forgot," set reminders. Excuses thrive in unprepared environments. Kill them before they take root. And here's the beautiful part. Once you reduce friction, momentum takes over. Habits become smooth, almost effortless. What once felt like a mountain turns into a gentle slope. Progress stops being a fight and starts being a flow. That's the difference between struggling to force change and designing change to happen naturally. The truth is, your environment shapes you more than your willpower does. If you keep the wrong things close, you'll repeat the wrong patterns. If you keep the right things accessible, you'll repeat the right ones. Design wins where motivation fails. So don't just try harder, build smarter. Remove friction, install access, and watch as your life begins to align, not because you forced it, but because you designed it. Real transformation doesn't begin with what you do. It begins with who you believe you are. Too many people try to change their lives by stacking behaviors without ever shifting the identity underneath. They think if they just do more, they'll eventually be more. But behavior without identity alignment is temporary. It burns out. The real breakthrough comes when your actions stop being something you force and start being an expression of who you are. Every small action is a vote for your identity. When you write one page, you're casting a vote for being a writer. When you choose water over soda, you're casting a vote for being healthy. When you practice gratitude, you're casting a vote for being joyful. Each vote on its own may look small, but together they build a story about who you are becoming. And when that story takes root in your mind, behavior is no longer a struggle. It flows from your identity. This is why many people fail at New Year's resolutions. They say, "I'm trying to quit smoking," or "I'm trying to get in shape." The language betrays them. "I'm trying" still identifies them with the old version of themselves, the smoker, the unfit, the undisciplined. They haven't shifted identity. But when someone says, "I'm not a smoker," even if they've just quit yesterday, they're claiming a new identity. Behavior follows identity. Consistency follows belief. Think about the difference. Forcing yourself to run 3 miles because you have to, versus running because you see yourself as an athlete. One drains energy, the other sustains it. When identity flips, habits are no longer chores, they're proof. They're how you affirm to yourself and to the world, "This is who I am now." So how do you flip identity? Start small. Don't try to rewrite the entire story at once. Start casting votes. Every time you follow through on a habit, remind yourself, "This is evidence of who I'm becoming." Write it down. Speak it aloud. Let it sink in. Over time, the votes pile up, and the old identity loses its power. The new one becomes inevitable. It's not about perfection. You don't need 100% of the votes to win an election. You just need a majority. If most of your actions support the new identity, that identity sticks. Slip-ups don't erase it. They're just outliers in the bigger narrative. The more you affirm the new identity, the less strain you feel in maintaining it. Here's the truth. If you want lasting change, stop asking, "What do I need to do?" and start asking, "Who do I need to become?" When you anchor your habits in identity, the battle shifts. You're no longer forcing behavior against resistance, you're living in alignment. And alignment doesn't drain you. It energizes you. Identity is the root. Behavior is the fruit. Focus on the root and the fruit will always follow. Nobody is perfect. No streak is flawless. No transformation is without setbacks. And that's the truth most people don't want to hear. They believe success is a straight line. Once they start, they'll never miss a day, never break a promise, never slip. But the reality is different. Life happens. Schedules collapse. Energy dips. Emergencies come uninvited. You will miss. You will stumble. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail isn't the absence of mistakes. It's the speed of recovery. Winners master the bounce back. Think about it. Missing one workout doesn't ruin your fitness. Eating one bad meal doesn't destroy your health. Skipping one journal entry doesn't erase your self-reflection. What destroys people is not the miss, it's the story they attach to it. They miss once, and instead of bouncing back, they spiral. They say, "See? I knew I couldn't stay consistent. I'm just not disciplined." And in that moment, they don't just lose the habit, they lose their identity. The key is reframing. A miss isn't proof of failure. It's proof you're human. The only failure is letting a miss turn into a pattern. Bounce back muscle means treating the miss as data, not defeat. It means asking, "What caused me to slip? How can I adjust?" And then, most importantly, getting back into action immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, immediately. Because the longer you wait, the heavier the resistance grows. This is how professionals think. An athlete doesn't quit the season because of one bad game. A musician doesn't throw away their instrument because they hit the wrong note. They recover, they adjust, they keep going. Bounce back is their superpower. It's why they progress while others quit. Here's a truth worth burning into your mind. Consistency isn't about never missing. Consistency is about never quitting. Missing is human. Quitting is final. And the only way to guard yourself from quitting is to build that bounce back muscle so strong that recovery becomes automatic. You don't spiral into shame. You snap back into flow. So what does bounce back look like in practice? It looks like grace with yourself. It looks like flexibility without excuse making. It looks like forgiving the stumble but refusing to stay down. It looks like doubling down on the next opportunity instead of mourning the last one. And every time you bounce back quickly, you send yourself a powerful message. I don't break. I bend and return stronger. In fact, your bounce backs are often more important than your streaks. They prove resilience. They prove ownership. They prove you're not here to play small. You're here to endure, adapt, and win. So, expect misses. Don't fear them. Anticipate them and prepare for them. Decide now that when you stumble, you'll rise faster than before. That's what separates winners, not perfection. not flawless streaks, but the ability to recover so quickly that failure never has time to grow roots. That's bounce-back mastery. That's the habit that makes all other habits possible. No great movement has ever been built in isolation. No lasting transformation thrives in secrecy. Human beings are wired for connection, and when it comes to habits, accountability and community are multipliers. Alone, your ripple is strong, but when your ripple meets another ripple, it becomes a wave, and waves move mountains. Think about the difference between working out alone in your garage and working out with a group that pushes you, cheers for you, and notices when you don't show up. The same workout feels different. Why? Because accountability sharpens focus. Community amplifies energy. What was once hard feels lighter because you're not carrying it by yourself. This is why shared commitment works. When you declare your goals publicly or even to one trusted friend, you raise the stakes. Suddenly, it's not just about letting yourself down. Someone else is watching. Someone else is expecting. That external spotlight keeps you aligned on the days when internal motivation fades. You may not always feel inspired for yourself, but you'll push through for the group, for the promise, for the shared mission. And the beauty is, accountability doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as texting a friend your daily progress. It can be a mastermind group where everyone reports wins and setbacks. It can be joining a community of like-minded people chasing the same transformation. Every form of accountability creates an echo chamber of progress. You hear it, you see it, you feel it, and it fuels you. But here's the deeper magic. Community doesn't just keep you consistent. It expands your vision. Alone, you see what's possible for yourself. Surrounded by others, you see what's possible for humanity. You see someone further ahead and it stretches your belief. You see someone just starting and it reminds you how far you've come. You see someone struggle and you become their encouragement. Suddenly, habits aren't just about your life, they're about impact, contribution, and legacy. And legacy multiplies in community. When your ripple inspires someone else's ripple, you've created momentum far beyond yourself. That's how movements start. Not with a single person grinding in silence, but with a collective energy that turns habits into culture. Of course, accountability isn't always comfortable. That's the point. When you know someone will ask, "Did you follow through?" It eliminates excuses. It forces honesty. It makes quitting harder, and that tension is what creates breakthroughs. Without accountability, excuses thrive in the shadows. With it, excuses die in the light of truth. So here's the challenge. Stop trying to do it all alone. Find your people. Build your circle. Declare your commitment. Share your progress. Hold and be held accountable. Because when your ripple meets theirs, it becomes something far greater than you imagined. It becomes a wave. And waves don't just change habits, they change lives, they change communities, they change futures. That's the power of amplified accountability. That's how ordinary habits become extraordinary impact. The most underestimated force in human transformation is compounding. What looks small today, what feels almost invisible in the moment, has the power to become unstoppable when given enough time. Tiny habits stacked and repeated don't just add up, they multiply. They turn into exponential returns, and when you sustain them long enough, they don't just transform your life, they shape your legacy. Think about money. A single dollar saved feels meaningless, but compounded over time, add interest, and suddenly that $1 has grown into something powerful. Habits work the same way. One healthy meal feels insignificant. One workout feels small. One journal entry feels trivial. But compounded over weeks, months, years, those small acts create transformations so dramatic they appear impossible to those who never stayed consistent. The problem is, most people quit before compounding kicks in. They get impatient. They want fireworks in a week. They want six-pack abs in a month. They want wealth overnight. And when they don't see immediate results, they abandon the process. But here's the truth. The greatest results live in the hidden space between effort and harvest. Compounding takes time, but when it arrives, it's unstoppable. Now let's talk about legacy. Legacy isn't built in a single act of greatness. It's built in the consistency of small acts over a lifetime. Think about the leaders, the pioneers, the visionaries who changed the world. They didn't achieve greatness because of one lucky moment. They achieved it because of repeated disciplines that compounded into influence. Their daily habits became their impact. Their ripple became a wave, and their wave became history. And here's where it gets personal. Your habits are not just about you. They are teaching everyone around you what's possible. Your children, your friends, your colleagues, they're watching. They see whether you show up or quit. They see whether you stay disciplined or give in to excuses. Your habits are your legacy in motion, shaping not only your future but the futures of everyone who witnesses your life. This is why quitting is dangerous. Quitting doesn't just rob you of results, it robs others of inspiration. But staying consistent multiplies beyond you. Your discipline gives others permission to believe. Your habits become proof that ordinary people can create extraordinary outcomes. So don't just think about what your habits will do for you in 30 days. Think about what they'll do in 30 years. Think about the health, the wisdom, the wealth, the character, the influence that will be compounded because you didn't quit. That's legacy. Remember this. Habits are small in the moment but monumental in the long run. Compounding doesn't shout, it whispers then roars. Stay faithful long enough and your tiny acts today will echo into eternity, because at the end of your life, it won't be the grand gestures that define you. It will be the daily habits that compounded into an unstoppable legacy.